Welcome to Storytell Kids.
Long, long ago, in the vast and beautiful land of Australia, lived a frog named Tiddalik. Now, Tiddalik wasn't just any frog. He was enormous. The biggest frog anyone had ever seen, with a belly as round as the moon and an unquenchable thirst. It was always thirsty. One morning, the sun rose hot and bright in the sky, baking the earth below. Tiddalik woke up feeling particularly parched. His throat felt as dry as the red desert sand. "I need a drink," he croaked to himself, his voice a low rumble, and so he began to drink. He started with a small puddle, slurping it up in a single gulp. But that wasn't nearly enough. He moved to a nearby billabong, and with a great whoosh, he drank it all dry. Still thirsty, he hopped to the winding rivers and drank until only muddy cracks remained. He found the sparkling lakes and drank them down to their very last drop. He drank and drank and drank until every single drop of water in the entire land was sloshing around inside his gigantic belly. The land began to suffer. The vibrant green grass turned brown and brittle. The leaves on the eucalyptus trees drooped sadly, and the beautiful flowers withered away. All the other animals, the kangaroos, the wombats, the colorful birds, and the slithery lizards, grew desperately thirsty. Their tongues were dry, and their spirits were low. There was no water left to drink. Worried and weak, the animals gathered together under a wilting gum tree to hold a big meeting. "What are we going to do?" chirped the kookaburra, his usually cheerful laugh now a worried cry. "The land is dying, and so are we." A wise old wombat, slow and thoughtful, cleared his throat. "Tiddalik has swallowed all the water," he said, his voice calm and steady. "If the water is inside him, then he must be the one to let it out." The other animals nodded in agreement. That made sense. But how? Squawked the tall emu, shuffling his feet anxiously. "How can we possibly get all that water out of such a big frog?" The animals fell silent, thinking hard. They needed a clever plan. The kangaroo suggested they tried to scare him. The koala thought maybe they could ask him nicely. But they all knew Tiddalik was too big and too stubborn for that. Then a small, slithery eel, who had been quietly observing from a dry patch of mud, had a brilliant idea. "I know," he hissed excitedly. "We must make Tiddalik laugh. If he opens his mouth for a big, hearty laugh, all the water is sure to rush out." The animals thought this was the best idea they'd heard all day. A glimmer of hope sparked among them. One by one, they decided to give it a try. First up was the kangaroo. He bounced on his powerful legs, hopping in silly circles and doing clumsy somersaults. The other animals chuckled, but Tiddalik just sat there, his big eyes blinking slowly. He wasn't amused. Next, the flamboyant cockatoo took to the stage. He flapped his bright white wings, screeched at the top of his lungs, and puffed out his yellow crest, trying to look as ridiculous as possible. Tiddalik didn't even crack a smile. He just sat, as still as a boulder. Then the emu had a go, dancing on his long legs, kicking them high in the air and wiggling his fluffy tail feathers in a bizarre ballet. Still nothing. Tiddalik's face remained completely blank. The animals were starting to lose hope. It seemed impossible to make the grumpy frog laugh. Just as they were about to give up, the little eel slithered forward. "Let me try," he said. He began to twist and turn his long, slippery body. He wriggled and squiggled, tying himself into the most complicated, silliest knots you could ever imagine. He bent himself into a pretzel, then a corkscrew, then a shape that looked like a wobbly question mark. He flipped and flopped, getting more and more tangled with every move. Seeing the eel's hilarious performance, a little wallaby started to giggle. Then a dingo let out a snort of laughter. Soon all the animals were roaring with laughter, clutching their sides as tears of mirth streamed down their faces. Their combined laughter was so loud and infectious that it finally reached Tiddalik. His grumpy face began to twitch. A tiny smile appeared at the corners of his wide mouth. The smile grew bigger and bigger. His shoulders started to shake. And then it happened. Tiddalik let out a rumbling chuckle, which grew into a booming laugh that echoed across the dry land. Asterisk. Ha. H-A. As he opened his mouth wide to laugh, a trickle of water escaped. Then, as his laughter grew stronger, the water came pouring out in a torrent. It gushed out in great waves, filling the empty riverbeds, replenishing the lakes, and creating streams where there were none before. Water, beautiful life-giving water, was everywhere. The trees drank it up, and their leaves turned green again. The grass sprung back to life, fresh and lush. The flowers bloomed in a riot of color. The animals cheered and danced with joy, splashing and drinking their fill. From that day forward, Tiddalik the frog learned a very important lesson. He learned not to be so greedy and to think of others. He understood that the water belonged to everyone, and that sharing is what keeps the world alive and beautiful. And the animals never forgot how. By working together and sharing a little joy, they brought life back to the land. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into the Dreamtime. If you enjoyed the story of Tiddalik, please give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing tales from around the world. See you next time.